The main role of traditional Aboriginal women, and I've worked with a lot of leaders, younger women leaders, and they would come to me because I was an outsider on their community, come to me for help around issues like childbirthing and so forth, which was clearly in their domain, They did have other women's ceremonies, which was clearly in their domain. No men would participate in it or even attempt to stick their nose in it in any way whatsoever. Issues around ownership of blood and childbearing and childbirthing were all in the domain of women. Other things like the knowledge around herbs and which herbs to use for medicine and so forth. So they were great herbalists also. That was more in the domain of women than in the domain of men. Younger women also were the fine skill artisans in terms of making dilly bags that were almost, well, in some cases, I understand, waterproof. They were so tightly woven. That would be in the domain of women. And they would make certain articles which suited them in their physical being, where men made the larger ropes and some of the heavier weapons and so forth. Women made the finer articles, necklaces and dilly bags and so on. So there was a clear division of labour between men and women. And because the knowledge that was needed in one area was massive, and the knowledge needed in the other areas were massive. And so for the Australian culture to survive as long as it did, for thousands, tens of thousands of years, that knowledge and that skill ability need to be shared. And for that to happen, it was better to be divided between men and women. Women were also classed as holy in a number of times during the year and named after those angel creators that came to remind men, although they had political control in terms of the systems of law and so forth, and the maintenance of that system of law and so forth, they were reminded constantly that it was the women who were sent as creators for most of the people across Australia in the first place.